Today on Investigate TV Plus, they're tasked with keeping your mail secure, but more mail carriers are getting robbed on the job. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Our investigation reveals what criminals are after and why some think it'll get worse before it gets better.
Oh my God, here. Yes.
It breaks my heart, but infuriates me at the same time. Beyond the physical toll, there's certainly an emotional toll. There's a mental stress that occurs with these.
Plus, some mail carrier robberies linked to a sinister scam.
I was stunned, and it really kind of took my breath away for a second.
We show you how you can protect your mail and money.
And language is key to understanding another person's world.
Our word for forest is itohayo. It means within the trees or amongst the trees.
One student's quest to save his tribe's native language and how he inspired an Ivy League institution. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
According to the U.S. Postal Service, mail carriers are tasked with delivering more than 162 million pieces of mail nationwide every single day. Oftentimes, they're a familiar, even friendly face in our neighborhoods. But in 2022, nearly 500 mail carriers were robbed on their routes.
And the data shows in 2023 that number is on track to be even higher. And if mail carriers aren't safe, neither is your mail.
Reporter Heather Graff explains the delivery danger and the call for change.
This surveillance video out of Memphis, Tennessee is just one example. And another in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh my God, here. Yes. Come along, here.
Mail carriers being robbed, often at gunpoint.
Sorry, just go. No, please, no, please.
Across the country, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service has issued wanted posters and alerts about these violent crimes. And agency data provided in response to our Freedom of Information Act request shows the surge from 153 mail carrier robberies nationwide in 2020 to more than triple that, 471 robberies in 2022.
We've seen a drastic change.
Brian Renfro is president of the National Association of Letter Carriers that represents thousands of men and women who he says now fear their job is making them a target.
It breaks my heart, but infuriates me at the same time. Beyond the physical toll, there's certainly an emotional toll. There's a mental stress that occurs with these.
Why are letter carriers being targeted? What are these thieves after?
In the majority of cases, not all, but the majority that we see, it's about gaining access to the mail. Lots of criminal organizations developed elaborate check-washing schemes
to access more mail more quickly. The U.S. Postal Service has said criminals are specifically targeting letter carriers' master keys, known as arrow keys, which can then be used to open these blue collection boxes, along with cluster mailboxes common in apartment and townhome communities. And the USPS reports an increase in high-volume thefts from those mail receptacles, with more than 38,000 such incidents in fiscal year 2022. For instance, this theft caught on camera in Charlotte, North Carolina.
That could very well be, my mail, or that could be your mail. It could be anyone's mail.
We've also learned mail carrier robberies resulted in 406 stolen arrow keys in 2022, and just 74 of those keys were recovered.
I mean, these keys are on the dark web for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a key.
That's Postmaster General Louis DeJoy talking about the stolen arrow keys during a May 2023 hearing on Capitol Hill.
The problem is getting more serious.
And lawmakers pressing DeJoy on the USPS response.
I'm concerned about the thousands of dollars that a single family could lose if a check is stolen, and oftentimes is. And I'm concerned about the safety of our hardworking postal carriers by senseless criminals.
The Postmaster General then described plans for expanded crime prevention measures under a new initiative known as Project Safe Delivery. It includes the rollout of 12,000 high-security blue collection boxes, plus 49,000 electronic locks with double validation systems in select cities, as the USPS works to replace what it now calls antiquated arrow key locks.
Unfortunately, there's not a single solution that fixes this.
Renfro says the NALC does support the use of technology to help, but he knows the beefed-up boxes and locks won't happen everywhere overnight.
It's a big country. The Postal Service has a vast network that goes everywhere.
And though the USPS declined our request for an interview and wouldn't answer questions about the project's timeline or scope, DeJoy himself, in that congressional hearing, said this.
The quantity of locations that we have boxes is in the millions. So this is a several-year project.
Slow progress that's led workers to begin holding rallies saying enough is enough. This one in Chicago, after a mail carrier there was shot and injured during a robbery in August.
Enough is enough.
And a few weeks later in Cincinnati.
He saw me and came after me, attacked me, grabbed me by the neck.
Where letter carriers called for better protection, policing, prosecution, and public awareness.
In a lot of ways, it's like turning a big ship.
Renfro hoping all of those actions combined could make a difference.
Do you worry that it will get worse before it gets better?
I worry every day that it will get worse. It gives us a sense of urgency. We simply ask that if you're out there and you're a postal customer, just look out for us too. If you see something out of the ordinary, don't hesitate to call local law enforcement and let them know.
In a statement, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service told us these crimes are a top priority, noting that armed robbery of a postal employee is a federal crime punishable by up to 25 years in prison. And as part of Project Safe Delivery, the agency said it's also conducting periods of intensive operations and surveillance in different cities, working with local, state, and federal partners. The inspection service cited Chicago and Washington, D.C. as two of the first areas where those targeted efforts took place in 2023. Reporting in Washington, I'm Heather Graff.
You heard the concern from the National Association of Letter Carriers and lawmakers about robberies being used to carry out check washing schemes. Next on Investigate TV Plus, we explain what check washing is and how falling victim could cost you. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
Sorry, just go.
Surveillance videos illustrate a growing problem in the U.S.
In the majority of cases, not all, but the majority that we see, it's about gaining access to the mail. Lots of criminal organizations developed elaborate check washing schemes.
Check washing involves stealing checks, changing the dollar amount and the person it's made out to.
I was furious, personally. I'm not sure how the system was beat.
Bert Kolker is a locksmith, making a living keeping people's things secured. So he never imagined he'd be the victim of theft.
In this case, we hand wrote a check, personally dropped it in the post office box, close to the post office, and thought it was done.
He mailed 2 checks to business vendors totaling about 10 grand, but they never made it to his clients. His bank says someone stole his checks, washed them, and deposited them into another account.
It's astonishing. The problem is banks are trying to combat this fraud, but with the tools they have and with the technology that the scammers have at their availability, it's very hard for them to keep track with a lot of it.
According to the government's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, in 2022, banks issued 680,000 reports of check fraud, nearly double what they reported in 2021.
While it's never gone away, it's back with a vengeance.
In 2022, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service put out a warning about check washing, saying on its website, occasionally these checks are stolen from mailboxes.
Reporter Lauren Schrager shows us how check washing costs families more than just money and how you can protect yourself from this financial fraud.
I dropped it in this box right here. Like many people, Robert Kenkel assumed the post office was the best place to drop his monthly checks.
In front of the post office, you would think it would be.
But turns out he was wrong.
Being violated.
Someone got into these blue collection boxes.
It was open with a key.
Making off with hundreds of pieces of mail, including checks Kenkel had written.
So this is the box. This is where we always drop our mail.
The same happened to Steve Perrin, whose wife had dropped their bills into this neighborhood blue box.
I was stunned, and it really kind of took my breath away for a second.
Someone had stolen from them.
A $44 check had become an $8,300 check to an individual who we don't know.
It's an old crime coming around again called check washing. Criminals can steal a check, change the information on it and the amounts, and then cash it.
You don't know a Jada Gates?
Do not. I have no idea who that person is. Police have told me that they're seeing an uptick in this.
A nightmare now to get his money back and change all his accounts.
It makes me very, very angry that this happened.
One check was $9,875. Another one was $3,200. Another one was $4,000.
In Kenkel's case, he was being impersonated. He even has the surveillance images from a bank. Someone had his social security number and birth date, too.
We're seeing a very large number of checks.
David Maimon is a professor at Georgia State University specializing in cybercrime and the dark web. He sent us pictures of checks for sale on the dark web and for cheap, too. $150 or so a pop.
We know that they're cashing the checks. We know that they're washing the checks. We know that they're selling the checks. We know that they're forging checks. We know that they are using the identities in order to open bank accounts and credit lines.
That's one of the highest priorities of our agency, is mail theft.
But Matthew Villicana, a U.S. postal inspector, says they do take mail theft very seriously.
Suffice to say, when we're actively investigating things.
It's terrible that somebody wants to scam somebody. Go get a job.
Those already victimized, wanting to warn others before dropping mail in the blue boxes.
I have to rethink that on the way that I'm going to handle business.
Experts say you can try to protect yourself by asking your bank for high security check paper or by using gel ink pens. So we kind of wanted to try that out here, and I wanted to see if I could wash some of my own personal checks. Donned some gloves, grabbed my checks. Now, I want to point out, of course, I'm no criminal. I've never done anything like this before, and we certainly don't want to make it any easier for the thieves, so I'm not going to show you exactly how it's done. But I did take a ballpoint pen, a regular pen, as well as this gel ink pen that is marketed as fraud-proof, and I wrote some checks. Now, it turns out that the check that I wrote with the ballpoint pen was pretty easy to wash. A little more difficult with the gel pen, although not totally foolproof, and I will say I did a pretty bad job on at least one check because I rubbed a hole right through it. One of the interesting things, though, that I did find that I didn't know is that my personal checks have a security feature on the back of them with some disappearing ink. So when I tried to wash those checks, the ink is gone, and hopefully my bank would catch that if someone was trying to fraudulently cash one of these checks.
Some other ways to protect yourself from mail theft, according to the U.S. Postal Service: don't let mail sit in your mailbox, especially overnight. And sign up for informed delivery through the USPS website. It gives you a preview of your mail before it arrives. You can report stolen mail at uspis.gov/report or call the number on your screen.
Still ahead, a lifeline for a language at risk of dying out.
A language like Kwasati has no university, no professor, no nothing. There's no Kwasati studies. I mean, it's a small endangered language.
We introduce you to the college student behind the effort to save an endangered language.
Plus, it's a deadly disease primarily linked to women, but men are at risk and may not be aware. Coming up, the medical mythbuster explains the threat of male breast cancer.
According to the American Cancer Society, 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer during their lifetime.
But women aren't the only ones at risk. In this medical mythbuster, Viv Williams breaks down a big misconception that men can't get breast cancer.
Men can get breast cancer.
Dr. Christine Clausen, director of the Diagnostic Breast Clinic at Mayo Clinic, says a man's risk of developing breast cancer is approximately 1 in 1,000.
But for some men, particularly men who have a strong family history of breast cancer or a family history of gene mutations, such as the BRCA2 mutation, that risk can be as high as about 6 in 100.
How can that be if men don't have breasts?
Men do have small amounts of breast tissue behind each nipple,
which is where most male breast cancer lumps develop. But she adds that even if men do notice lumps, they often delay seeing a provider because they don't know they're at risk or they may be embarrassed.
But it's important for us to be able to catch it as early as possible so that we can have less intense treatments and better outcomes.
Clausen says treatment for male breast cancer is similar to what many women with breast cancer experience, a mastectomy, which is the surgical removal of breast tissue. There are also estrogen blockers to prevent the disease from coming back and sometimes radiation.
This is an image of a man with breast cancer.
Clausen says most men don't need regular screening like women do, but for those at high risk, screening mammography could help detect cancer early. She says anytime a man notices a lump, he should have it evaluated because early detection saves lives. With this medical mythbuster, I'm Viv Williams.
Dr. Clausen says other ways you can reduce your risk include limiting alcohol, highly processed food, not smoking, and exercising regularly. A 2-time breast cancer survivor is sharing his story, hoping to change the way men think about the disease.
I spent the first month calling it chest cancer. I was embarrassed that guys shouldn't be getting breast cancer.
David Shelton was first diagnosed in 2010. After a mastectomy, David was in remission for nearly a decade before the cancer returned in 2019. His chest scarred from surgery and radiation, David wanted to reclaim that space on his body and got this tattoo, a pink ribbon that reads, "Men Too."
It's my billboard and my mouthpiece. I want to spread the word so maybe it might save someone's father or someone's husband or someone's son or someone's nephew or someone's life could get saved, just by checking themselves out.
David also proudly displays Men Too on his license plate. After battling breast cancer twice, he says he'll do it a 3rd time if he has to. Still ahead, a language at risk of dying has new life.
I remember feeling shame at times because of just such a strong instinct to want to preserve this and to continue to speak it.
How this Harvard student's mission to preserve his heritage helped change the Ivy League school's policy. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes. According to Interpreters and Translators Incorporated, there are approximately 167 languages indigenous to North America.
The same group says by 2050 that number will be just 20. The member of the Coushatta Indian tribe in Louisiana was determined to preserve his heritage when he attended one of the most prestigious universities in the world.
Dave McNamara shows us how he helped change Ivy League policy and gave a language a lifeline.
Eli Langley has fond memories of playing in the woods near his home.
Just going outside and being amongst the trees. Our word for forest is itohayo. It means within the trees or amongst the trees.
From the time he was in 7th grade, Eli wanted to go to Harvard.
I remember telling people I'm going to Harvard. And of course, a lot of people said, no Indian kid from Elton is going to Harvard. That's just not going to happen.
Eli is a Coushatta Indian. He grew up near the Coushatta Reservation in the small town of Elton, Louisiana. His great-grandfather, Jackson Langley, had been chief of the Coushatta tribe. His grandparents spoke Kwasati, the tribal language.
My grandmother, Loris Langley, my apple, she used to always tell me when I was a little kid, an Indian who can't speak his language is no Indian at all. I remember feeling shame at times because of just such a strong instinct to want to preserve this and to continue to speak it.
When he was a child, Eli's parents started a Coushatta Heritage Project. They met with tribal elders who spoke Kwasati, created an alphabet and a written language. In high school, Eli enrolled in a summer immersion program and he learned to speak Kwasati.
What is the state of the Kwasati language today?
There's probably about 200 speakers.
Are they old? Are they young? Is it a mix?
I think the last first speaker that spoke it growing up and is totally fluent is about 33.
Eli made it to Harvard, but he hit a major obstacle. He was determined to use his Kwasati language to fulfill his second language requirement at Harvard, but the rules didn't allow that.
A language like Kwasati has no university, no professor, no nothing. There's no Kwasati studies. I mean, it's a small endangered language.
After 3 semesters and constant denials, he took a year off from college.
At what point are we going to say a language is a language and Harvard does not get to decide which languages are relevant and worthy of study?
The university eventually changed its position. Eli proved he could speak, write, and translate the native language of his ancestors. He got the credits, and he graduated in the spring of 21.
My name is Eli Langley. I'm very happy to be here today.
Harvard College, it was the first time a Native American tribal language had been recognized for credit in Harvard's 400-year history.
So it really changed the culture, you think?
It's different now. Native kids that go to Harvard College can learn their own language for credit and not have to learn a European language or other language instead.
Eli Langley hopes his experience will help empower future Native American students to embrace and preserve their own languages and heritage.
It is so special that he was able to change things at Harvard for years to come, so now more students can learn things they're truly interested in learning.
And think about the impact this kid has had. I mean, he's from small town Louisiana. He goes up to one of the most prestigious universities in the country and makes a difference, makes a change. That's pretty special. No doubt. All right, that's it for us here on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, drug agents in disguise go from gate to gate at the airport searching passengers without a warrant.
He just is like, are you high? Have you smoked? Do you have any drugs in this bag? Do you have any money?
Our investigation reveals the tactics used by officers to seize money without making arrests.